Hey everybody, welcome back to the Smirnock. I'm here with the boys, Cal and Petey. Say what's up, gents.
Yo,
Ready to rock on Christmas Eve.
Yo, this is the review. Spider-Man No Way Home. Oh, it is on, baby. This is going to be the one that's going to blow you guys out. Finally, we're going to have an honest, proactive. We're going to talk about this movie, okay? We're not even, you guys have already seen the movie, so we're not even going to go play around with this. We're going to go straight into the main parts right here. Was this movie the huge hit, which it is, as good as they're making out to be? And all I got to say is just one word. God dog it, it sure as heck was. Okay? Spider-Man No Way Home was.
you said Spider-Man off the heezy. That's what you're gonna say. Spider-Man off the hooksy.
Hooksy, heezy, it is off the chain, bro. If you haven't seen this movie, your blood ain't pumping through your veins.
Sound like Joe Biden over there.
Joe Biden, yo, bro. So look, basic simple thing is the multiverse is a thing. You have Spider-Man, you've seen the basic trailer, but the trailer doesn't give you the whole entirety of what's happening. There are mad spoilers, but just telling those people who somehow have been living under a rock and haven't been able to figure out what's happening. It's not the number one movie forever. It's going to be the first movie to break $1 billion. All I got to say, for the pandemic, people have been waiting. Marvel has delivered, Sony has delivered, and if you can't like this stuff,
all right. Can you give us what the plot of this thing is? What's the catalyst of the story?
As we saw in the last movie that he was in, they know his identity. So he goes to Doctor Strange and says, hey, my identity is hurting people around me that I love.
How is it hurting people? Can you tell them how it's hurting people?
So for example, they're not getting into MIT. Zendaya won't get into it. Ned won't get into MIT, for example. People are following him in school. So he wants those who around him who he loves to be able to do the things that they want to do. Okay, they thought they were a shoo-in, but because of all the controversy Spider-Man has going around, MIT said no. So he goes to Doctor Strange and he says, Doctor, can you hook me up with a small spell? Can you just, make everybody forget about what's happening? And there we see, yes, they can do that. Doctor Strange does it, but unfortunately, Spider-Man being Tom Holland, he interrupts the spell quite a few times, 5 or 6 times, and therefore the spell goes awry and it starts bringing in characters from other universes. So we have Doc Octopus, who is a villain from our friend from the Tobey Maguire universe of Spider-Man. We have what do you call the guy? The Lizard Man. We have
the Lizard. Just the Lizard,
Electro,
not the Lizard Man.
We have Electro. We have Sandman, and of course we got Green Goblin coming through. So
let me pause you for a second. Now the idea, the way, like, what was it? I think it's Harvard Business School. Whenever they have a celebrity and a celebrity decides, let me turn off my Twitter, the school says, turn the Twitter and Instagram back on. We see it in the number of people trying to apply to the schools. Stay on IG. So Spider-Man would be a big thing for MIT. They'd be like, no, if everyone with Flash Thompson, anybody can go. Let them go. Keep the more interest, the more people come to our school. What? Peter Parker's going to MIT? Yes. We need money. These schools are all about money. So I just wanted to throw that part in. So keep going.
So just to put a proviso, these are great institutions of learning that help to shape the American society as it is.
Oh, whatever.
They told Swiss Beats to turn back on. Harvard Business School to turn back on the IG. We can see the numbers of people coming to the interest in the school from your IG. Keep it on.
So it's just not just again another such a big situation.
This is facts.
So continuing. So by bringing them into the whole universe, you start having a whole bunch of stuff happen. The universe, people are going at it. So what happened? The main problem is this: our friend Strange basically says, "Yo, these guys gotta go." I'm trying to say they're gonna die. Most of them died they're gonna have to end up. They're gonna need to go back to their old universes and die or whatever happens because we need to fix our universe. And our boy Spidey's like, nah, that ain't gonna happen, baby. That can't rock with it.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
so Spidey and Doctor Strange have a fight, basically, which you don't see. You see that famous scene when Doctor Strange knocks the astral form out of Spider-Man, like, yeah. But because he has the spy senses, he can't grab the.
It doesn't stop it. Just stop. Stop.
I don't know about the. I don't know about. I
Stop.
don't know about the spider's senses. I think it was more like the spider fan service, i.e., fan wank. That's
Yeah.
pretty much why. That's pretty much why he couldn't do anything.
Am I being an unreliable narrator that you guys have to interrupt as I try to explain? You asked me
Your energy on these things that are ridiculous is a little too much. That's all I have to say. I know. I'm just gonna cut in here and add that I think these parts of the plot are not the strong parts of the movie. It's just what to get us to the next stage, to get us this thing. And I've now I'm not. This is not sort of this approach to Spider-Man isn't what I grew up on, but they have a certain approach that they're doing. That Tom Holland's character is a wide-eyed sort of Spider-Man, like a young sort of Spider-Man, not like the way Peter Parker was, not like the way he was in the comic book. Like Tobey Maguire is more like the John Romita one. The what's the name? The Andrew Garfield is more like the Ditko one. This one is more like I always say, is like Jimmy Olsen, like wide-eyed, but they want to do mistakes. So that's why you get the mistake of, the messing up the spell. In the first movies, he messes up. He gets stuck in a warehouse. In the next movie, he hit the mistake of giving up the stuff to Mysterio. So they're doing the kid sort of Spider-Man that kind of can make mistakes. Something that I think Ditko had said, like, being young, being able to make mistakes. Even though his Spider-Man didn't make that many mistakes, he kind of would have these things where he would win, but then in fact, J. Jonah Jameson would come down on him, and it looked like he menaced the society at the same time. So he would obviously kind of lose to the public, and he had all this negative smear campaign against him. So they were playing with that stuff, but these parts of the plot are just kind of, as Cal was saying, just going for the fan stuff, like having Spider-Man being able to battle it out with Doctor Strange, which makes kind of no sense. But you at the end, say, hey, he used his mind and he used math to defeat Doctor Strange. But all this is happening, and isn't Wong a big deal in this story? Isn't he?
Let's not even get to Wong. We're just trying to do a quick. Cal, can you finish up the synopsis, because he's going on, and we'll get into the whole shebang. So what's your take on the whole synopsis, starting from the point after the battle with Doctor Strange?
All right, well, pretty much
say something about the Doctor Strange thing. You're feeling the fight.
We talked about that.
I said my part. Let him say his part about that.
I'm trying to help Cal so we can move this back to the place that need to be elicited. Okay, so
all right, so pretty much Spider-Man screwed up, but he doesn't want to deal with it because it's hurting his feelings or what have you. Because nobody's really hurt. So he goes to Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange is trying to sort everything out, and then Doctor Strange is like, "No, look, you screwed up the spell. Now we got these people here. We got to go over there and send them back." And once again, Spider-Man's like, no, I don't want anybody to go back and die on my watch. Maybe there's something we can actually do for him, doing the dumb teenager thing. So then they get into this whole fight, and somehow Spider-Man is able to defeat Doctor Strange in the mirror universe, which should not freaking happen because somehow he paid attention in geometry class, which makes no damn sense whatsoever. It just made no sense whatsoever.
Well, we weren't talking about that part. Cal, we were talking about, let's go after that part.
I mean, how in the world? This guy he was stuck there. He was not stuck there because Spider-Man did a magic spell. He was stuck there because of web fluid. Like he could just say, hey, disappear or something. But that's like the spider wank at the end of the day. If you're in Spider-Man's movie or if you're in Spider-Man's comic book, and if you're a comic book reader, you know what I mean.
Thank you.
You know what I mean. Spider-Man versus Firelord, anyone? Okay,
there may be a little bit of license there. We're not going to deny that.
Thank you, Mars. Thank you.
Okay, so we moved on past that. All right.
So then he comes over and he continues to do more teenage blockhead stuff where I'm going to try to help these dudes cure them. And anybody who's read these comics knows that this is pretty much the Sinister Six he's got right here. Those guys nearly kill him every time they come out. And the only way he's able to ever defeat them is by splitting them up and taking them on one at a time. And the one time I think he did fight them all at once, they nearly killed him. He won, but he was like, with all that battle damage Spidey thing, he was like almost bloody naked because the suit couldn't hold up to it. So of course, that doesn't work out. Though it works out well enough with one of them, so there's some payoff with that a little bit later. But what we did get was a really good turn from William Dafoe playing Norman Osborn and showing us exactly why this guy is one of Spidey's, if not Spidey's, deadliest villain. Because the acting he did over there, just the facial expression, just the change from Norman Osborn to the Green Goblin persona, really good. But Spidey pretty much screws up again. Aunt May gets taken out after telling him, with great power comes great responsibility, which is the first time I was aware there is no Uncle Ben in this universe. I was like, okay, Aunt May was just like, all right, I guess it was just Happy Hogan. So he's torn up about this whole thing, doesn't really know what to do. But then he gets some help from his friends who are there doing absolutely nothing up until this point. And then Baby Wong has one of the Baby Wong has one of the sling rings.
Excuse me, can you explain to me who Baby Wong is? Because there's nobody named Baby Wong.
Yes, there is. Tell them.
Baby Wong. No, you haven't noticed? Marvel seems to be having this thing going on. If you are Asian in the Marvel films, you can do magic. Because out of nowhere, Ned gets the sling ring, and somehow he's able to just open up portals. Wong became the Sorcerer Supreme, okay, and then we got Shang-Chi running around with these magic rings. So, Ned is Baby Wong. So Baby Wong comes over.
Oh, my God.
He did 3.
How? Wong is the Sorcerer Supreme.
Mm-hmm.
Shang-Chi and the magic ring.
That's a whole nother question. We'll start with that.
The Mandarin. How many more magic?
We'll start with that later. Continue with your brief synopsis. Skip past anything with magic.
Okay, great. So again, Baby Wong is looking for Peter Parker. They said, let's find Spider-Man, and then they find Spider-Man, but it's Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, and the crowd went wild in the movie theater where I was at. We loved it.
Cool. Your audio is distorting. Your audio is distorting. Just so you know, it's it's getting too loud.
Okay. So anyway, so we're in the theater. Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man comes. Crowd goes wild. We loved it. There was all these cats out there who loved the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man.
Yes.
It was not fair that he didn't get that third movie. And all you guys took a dunk on him. And then all of a sudden you're going to come to this movie now and say, oh, no, we love him too. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. We know who you are. We know who you are. But Spidey gets some help. Spidey actually gets some help because not only did villains come over, but Spider-Man actually came over. And so we get Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire. They come over. They get together, make a plan.
You beat over the Tobey Maguire part? You don't see him coming through? Nice, cool, calm, and collected. Older version.
He was looked like Toby had been through a lot in life when he.
I thought he was like an evil Spider-Man who was going to turn at the last second. He looked like, he was a little too calm. He wasn't in the suit. And I was just like, is this guy going to be like, at the last minute, we're going to find out, hey, I'm really like an evil Spider-Man, but I like this universe and I'm going to take everything you have. That's the persona I was getting from him when he first came there. And it never stopped until he left.
And the crowd went crazy.
No, this is the other part. Every costume looked cool. There was no point where you said, hey, the Maguire one doesn't look as good as the most recent one. All the Spider-Man outfits, every version of it works. You can like Holland better than all the other two. The costumes are still cool. And the thing about Andrew Garfield is that he was doing the Spider-Man humor. Even though he didn't have the mask on, that sort of tone of his humor was very cool. And that's what was kind of missing, because what's the name is more like a wide-eyed and he sees the other heroes and he's not cynical, where in the comic books, he runs into the Avengers and he's cynical out the wazoo, like doing all of his jokes. So that was that moment with them, and they throws the piece of bread. Hey, it's a piece of bread.
So continuing, Cal, we're going to pass it on to Petey. Now, Petey, let's get all the way to the end. Skip this stuff.
What are you talking about? I wasn't finished.
I said a brief synopsis so we can get back into the individual parts.
I was being brief. I still wasn't done.
I've told you skip the magic, and you've skipped me 2 times.
How can we skip Baby Wong?
Jesus.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, the thing is that now that they're all together and they have, and one of the things that
wait, you didn't acknowledge that Tobey Maguire had a huge clap in the audience. Let's not forget
because he did it. He did it.
The audience went crazy.
what audience were you at? Why was that? Everybody was like, "Hey, it was Garfield, man. It was Garfield all day, all the time."
They both
All
got
right, all right, all right. Let's. We're having a fight right now. The thing
That's
with
right.
this,
And I'm gonna win.
they're working the Spider-Mans and the Scooby Gang, because Marvel screwed the pooch calling them the Scooby Gang. That means Buffy's a Scooby Gang. All of these teams are just copying off of Scooby-Doo. Buffy, Arrow, and now Spider-Man, having a person to share all that stuff, having the teens friends thing, all that stuff. So basically they're working out. And the other thing is that we don't know where the villains are in all this time. Like there's this big gap, which is all fun story, but where they're developing all the things to cure the rest of the villains. All in this time, the villains are nowhere to be found until Spider-Man goes to social media and says, "I will be here at such and such a time." Wong isn't involved, so finally they all come at that time. So that's this movie. The movie dynamics. They don't have enough time to say they were.
Wong said, "Keep me out of it." That's what he said.
Huh?
Say that. Wong said, "Keep me out of it."
Well, I will just chime. Well, we'll get to. I guess we'll get to more later. So then they had this big thing at the Statue of Liberty. For some reason, they're putting Captain America's shield with the Statue of Liberty when you know that thing is coming down.
I was so glad. Were you happy as I was when that shield came down? I was like, that looks terrible.
That shield needs to go back up.
No way. If Cap was
defend our nation against the evils outside. That's what it's up there for.
You don't have the damn shield. It's a torch supposed to be lighting the way for people to come here, like a lighthouse.
It lights the way, and
not a shield. Just whack. That was whack.
I love it. The shield and the light.
So basically, they have their whole plan to cure everybody, and at the same time, then send them home. But I don't see how that would stop them from dying when they went back home. But he's going to go through with this plan that Aunt May kind of sent him to do, and even though it wasn't the smartest thing to do, they should have just sent them back home. And then they have this moment. They have some jokes, obviously, where they struggle with the Sandman. They struggle with working as a team. But then they also realize that Tom Holland's Spider-Man has all this vengeance in his heart. And he wants to do what you have to do in these movies is kill the villain. And they're trying to say, no, you're not supposed to do that. But it's still the Green Goblin. So they have this big showdown. Everyone is kind of getting cured and going back, and they're putting them to the side. But the Goblin has other plans. He gets in there. They're in the big fight. Tom Holland's kind of throwing away all the stuff he's heard. And then then Garfield's able to get him to calm down. And then, of course, actually, what's the name is on the floor there. He gets to see him. But then we got Tobey Maguire right there, gets him to stop. And then, of course, the Goblin gets him again. But they ultimately stop everything. They're able to go home. But at the same time, Spider-Man, not Doctor Strange, figures another spell that would save the day. Everyone should forget him, and then I will turn everything back, right? But as that happens, what's the name? The guy, I jumped around, sorry, guys. The Goblin comes and wrecks that spell and opens up the multiverse, and everything goes awry because he puts a bomb in the box. I don't know. But basically, it's a fun movie. Basically, we reverse everything as we expected them to do. But this time, nobody knows who Peter Parker is. All the history is gone. What? What's up?
Nobody knows me no more.
So he moves on. Happy doesn't know him. Even though MJ said she would remember him. Of course, she didn't. Ned is, meeting up with him at this. I think was that bakery, that place we went to in Brooklyn, the same place where the Comic-Con is.
Yeah, that would really be cool. It looks like it, doesn't it?
It looked exactly like it. Oh my goodness!
And you notice Ned, he wasn't reading because they got an MIT, but he wasn't reading any manuals that were for MIT. He was reading some ancient magical tome. I hope you guys noticed that.
Oh my god!
I'm not even gonna go there with you, bro. I don't even know where you're going with that.
Well, let's.
Right, so overall, did you guys enjoy the movie? Let's start that. We'll start with that. Overall, did you enjoy the movie, Petey?
Yeah.
I would say for me, it was okay. I think there was moments that brought me back into the movie, like because I forgot that other Spider-Mans were going to show up. And when Andrew Garfield before that, I did like that no, when the movie started, I started to get back into the movie when they said, oh no, the Goblin is he's located next to where May is, and when Spider-Man goes there, he's actually Norman Osborn at this point, and he's normal. And Defoe is pulling out all the stops with his acting. He is just killing it. He is there. He's helping Spider-Man set up these cures and whatnot. And then Spider-Man has this, like, this is Marvel doing their version of the Spider Sense, and it's just like some sort of attack on him. And he goes and he figures out that Norman's gone bad again. We're like, yes. And then Norman proceeds to do some wrestling moves, dropping Spider-Man floor to floor. And I loved it. Just like slamming them over and over and over again.
What about you?
Huh?
What about you, Cal?
I'm still going. That was the coolest
He's still going.
thing.
Keep going.
That was the coolest stuff. Having this guy that is strong as Spider-Man, like giving it to him, because the Doc Ock fight was great too until the nano stuff ruined it. Like the Doc Ock is giving it to him, then of course he takes over the whole movie. He takes over the nanotechnology with the. Come on, that's not. I mean, I don't even know if that's I guess it's Iron Man in the comic books past 2000. But it was just like, that's a little too much for me in the Spider-Man thing. And Doc Ock was doing so good in that early part. So seeing him get behind kick for a while, sad to see that. But I didn't really get the emotions of the death of May, because May also said you did the right thing.
We will get over that. This was just
you didn't do the right thing.
We will go over this.
I'm getting to why I was in the movie when he was getting his behind kicked. Then I was kind of like, nah, with this May stuff. But then when they had the Wong or Baby Wong opened the portal, and I was like, oh, okay, we're gonna get Spider-Man back into it. Like, oh, I totally didn't expect that was gonna be Andrew Garfield there. So I was pleasantly surprised. All that stuff from that movie was just fun from that part. So everything after that was just gravy. It was just sort of a fun movie. It's not making anything. Everyone's going, this is bad. This is like the third best movie of Spider-Man. First is Spider-Man 2, then I don't know which one they say is the best Spider-Man after that. They go to one of the Holland movies, and then they go to this. And I was like, no, this is a sequel. This is definitely a sequel. Yeah.
So, what is your take?
This is the third best Spider-Man movie. No, it's not.
So, Cal, what's your take? Did you like the movie?
Oh yeah, how could you not have? No, this was a lot of fun. I was really happy I saw it in the theater. I was really happy that I saw it in the theater. It was like me. I was hanging out, and it was like, okay. And I think it was like 90%, like 95% dudes in the theater. It was. There was some guy there. I think his girlfriend was there with him. She tried to ask him something. She was like, "Shut up!"
Yo, dude, have you seen, I've only seen a couple of guys how they react with their women at these superhero movies. And I was at a theater and I was in there, and this dude got there late. He turned on me. I think he was either West Indian or African. And he turned to me and he said, "How much did I miss?" I said, "You only missed like 10 minutes, but nothing really happened. It was just this setup." And then 10 minutes after that, his girl came up there with the food. So he left her online to get the food, and then he went to see the movie. This is, the guys are going back to their childhood and saying, "Baby, I'll meet you there. You get us some popcorn." This is not in this theater, but I've seen that happen. So it's funny to see how guys are going back to their roots of being kids and being like, "Babe, don't fuck this. Excuse me, don't mess this up for me."
No, guys were like totally into it. So that atmosphere just made it, made it really, really cool. So, but everything, a lot of the stuff that I like, Sam already touched on. But one of the things I really enjoy, everybody has been so cavalier about the secret identity. So cavalier about that thing. I can just take off my mask and it's not a big problem. Oh, I can take off my mask. Nobody's going to tell on me. I'm going to take a mask off. And this was finally, it's like, no, there's some repercussions to this whole thing. There's a reason. Isn't there supposed to be a reason why you're keeping your identity a secret? Okay, well, now people know. What's the repercussion to the whole thing? Aunt May's death, I really just feel it's like an Uncle Ben thing. Or it's got to be, they have to have a closer connection and I don't think they ever really played up the connection between Marissa Tomei's, Marissa Tomei acting as Aunt May. I never really felt that she was very much connected to Peter Parker. So when she died, of course, it's not a happy thing, but it's not like any of this. It's not like, and remember, Uncle Ben isn't in the movies very long. He's not in the movies very long, but they're still able to make that connection between him and Peter and make it strong enough that when he does pass away, you're like, okay, these guys were together in 3 films. And when she died, I was like, that's really bad, but didn't feel the same thing, didn't have the same weight. And I felt differently when they even Into the Spider-Verse, where you see Miles, his uncle passes away. They were able to make that connection a lot better than I thought they went right here. But they went with the whole thing like, yeah, you've got to have the secret identity, a little bit more of the whole Spider-Man thing, where even when Spider-Man wins, he loses, along good lines. I was like, okay, I haven't had that, no, I thought they did that in the first Tom Holland film. I thought they did touch on that particular thing. But between William Dafoe, that was like, for me, that's probably like the highlight at the end of the day. No, Andrew Garfield. Andrew Garfield was so loved in the movie. When Andrew Garfield left, guys were like, all right, movie's over, we can leave now. The guys were like, no, you still gotta see these end credits, But it was just a lot of fun. I mean, imagine if you are a Tobey Maguire fan or Andrew Garfield, and to see them in this movie, it's such a payoff. It's such a payoff, for all that time. So I appreciated that they did that for guys who are big fans of Spider-Man and followed it, all of this particular time. And I am looking forward, to see what comes next down the pike.
So you basically
I want to see the biggest criticism I have with these Marvel films. I am really getting tired of Marvel movies being about the screw ups of the heroes. That what do you guys do? It's like every time you guys are coming to save the day, you started this. You made this problem. We got these villains.
Let him keep going. Let him keep going. Let him keep going. He's not finished yet.
Not finished yet.
He's not finished yet.
Not finished yet. Okay, that's everything. That's everything from like Avengers 2 on down. Why are we here? We're here because you couldn't keep your mask on around people. Oh, look, these villains are running around because you couldn't shut up during the spell. Stop making problems for yourself. You guys are supposed to be out there helping people, not making these really big, grandiose problems. And then when you solve it, we're supposed to sit back and say, yes, a real hero. No, stop making trouble.
That's right on the money. And that's the thing. And the thing is, I don't think you're actually thinking Cal knows how many issues I have with the Spider-Man films. And the fact that I didn't just go and torch it completely is a big thing. You should be happy.
Very big.
It doesn't sound to the layman out there that this is a grudging passing 50%. If we had a grade, let's say imagine you were a professor and you had to grade the movie, I would think that you gave it a D+. I gave it an A+, and Cal gave it barely a D. So that's the impression that
I'd say Cal gave it a C, C+, B minus.
No. I gave it higher, B+, A-. I gave it that. For me, I gave it the criticisms are fair, but that doesn't ruin the enjoyment of the overall film. Okay, those are fair criticisms, but at the same point, the criticism I'm saying doesn't. It's less than the enjoyment I got from seeing William Dafoe's acting, less than I got from seeing Andrew Garfield in the film. But the criticisms are fair. They're fair at the end of the day. But still, it was a fun ride. It was a really fun ride. And if they can tune some of this stuff for future, which they probably don't have to with the money that they're making, they're going like, oh, he's going to keep screwing up. Watch how big he screws up next time. But this is still, still a good film. Still good. A lot of fun. I recommend it. Anybody who wants to have some enjoyment. It was a good, I can't say necessarily it was good escapist fun, but if you're somebody who's enjoyed the films, the only thing, guys always fall into this trap of like, which guy was better? This is supposed to be Spider-Man at the end of the day. It's supposed to be Spider-Man. So nobody should be looking into this, which Spider-Man is better. You might enjoy one of the films better at the end of the day. But if you're somebody who really digs Spider-Man as a character, how could you not have had some fun with that at the end of the day? I'm sitting there, I'm watching the film, and I'm like, yeah, yeah, Mars is gonna really enjoy this film. Yeah, yeah. Petey's gonna hate that part. but but overall you're still gonna have fun. And isn't that what we want at the end of the day from the film? Do we really need grades?
That's exactly what I want. So I mean, in my opinion, which I don't know if you guys know about the film already, is that it was a damn good film.
Didn't you say that in the beginning?
I just want to clarify that it was a very good film. I mean, my experience with the audience was that the audience was dynamic. Where I went to the theater, the Magic Johnson Theater in Harlem, and you had a very diverse crowd, and the crowd was to the rafters. It was completely full. And of course, when you go to that theater, people are constantly
don't go in there. Don't go in there.
Not talk, but they are also participating in the movie. They're responding to what's happening.
Did you have trouble getting tickets?
Absolutely not at all. So
I almost didn't get seats. I almost didn't get. I've never done this whole thing about buying tickets in advance. I've never done that because I've always been able to get tickets day of. But I was just trying to get 2 seats, for me and my boy. And I'm trying to get these things together. And every time I looked, I was like, wow, these things are selling out quickly at the end of the day. But I was able to snag 2 seats for like a 5 o'clock show, which is a pretty early show. But the later shows were just, you could not find 2 seats together. It was really getting hard at the end of the day.
But, I know, I agree. It was tough, but I mean, it wasn't tough, but we were able to get it. The time we wanted was the time we got. But to me, it was just amazing. It's like you have this moment where you have everybody in the theater, really getting together and really enjoying and participating in the ability of the show. And I thought that was great. Everybody, all kinds of group was just getting into it. And the very fact that movie could do that and be enjoyable, was pretty a big thumbs up. I mean, of course, things are going to be different with the different Spider-Mans and the movie, the way they depicted Tom Holland, but I thought they did a really good job, So let's go over, gentlemen, the beginning. So we're starting now with the plausibility. What did you guys think about the very fact that, Spider-Man is now revealed? What's going to happen? How are we going to handle this? And how do you think it is by him going to Doctor Strange? Was it a good idea or plausible idea? Did it pass the smell test with you guys?
No.
Okay, you know what? Let's take out that question. I made a mistake. Let's not even go there.
Now let's talk about that.
The hard part is for me is that Marvel, even though they were cynical at times when Stan Lee was doing it, because I think early on they had some heroes in but that was more, they had Captain America running, early on and a couple times, and Submariner, which was more Bill Everett's thing, and the same with the Human Torch, but they didn't really go into the secret identity the way like Superman and Batman and having almost month-to-month struggle with the secret identity, right, in the DC books. And then when Marvel finally was doing a full foray into like a sort of superhero stuff in the 60s, they had some different ideas about the secret identity and how to play around with it. And that's one of the things when you're doing these Marvel things where you just say, yep, taking off his mask. Now, Captain America, that's how it was early on, that he really didn't, since he's a man at a time, the identity wasn't a big thing. And then slowly they started to bring him to have an identity, a secret identity, even though he was very loose with it. But he had, supporting cast sometimes, so you didn't have to have a separation between superhero and his regular life. Now, Spider-Man has a full face mask, but at the same time, they did a lot of cool things with the secret identity. In these movies, they've kind of thrown all that out. And I think, Cal has definitely said it in the past, that, these shows have been kind of afraid of that stuff. So in doing it and having his identity revealed is kind of like, it's just a story where we knew we'd have to get a reset. So that's kind of spoil a surprise, where it's not really that sort of an interesting thing of doing like a crisis thing or a Brand New Day type of thing where something gets restarted. Whereas even in Brand New Day, like the couple ideas to reboot Spider-Man was usually from a villain, having Mephisto, or at one point, which they didn't go through it, the Shaper of Worlds was going to reboot Spider-Man. So it's like having someone else outside of another hero do something where they recreate this, having a villain kind of, have to do this, and then Peter Parker has to deal with the ramifications of it. So I don't not really too keen on how they've done it, because they don't look at this stuff and say, hey, even the Mike Murdock thing was something way different. And if you read the books, they were just kind of fun because they were like, oh, they're struggling with Mike Murdock when it's the same guy, that sort of thing. So there was a lot of things that Marvel did. Like they did a Spider-Man where Spider-Man is weak, and I thought they were going to do that in the second Spider-Man movie where he's weak and gets beat up by Dr. Octopus and says, what's wrong with Spider-Man? He's like totally out of it. All right, we're revealing it. Peter Parker. It's like, why would Peter do something like that? You can't be Spider-Man. You don't got any powers. And they don't realize that he's been, he's going through some sickness or something like that. So his identity is totally not, but the cover is like, Spider-Man is revealed on this thing. And then they did something interesting. So to get to this point and no one have any interesting ideas with the secret identity is really sad. And they say, well, the secret identities don't even work. It's like, because they hang out with the same people. Then know what you do? If you're that cynical about the stories, then take Superman or whoever away from that group, right? No, because you don't want to do that. So you're trying to have your cake and eat it too. Have the reveal happen every other week. And it's really not good storytelling. It's really just play to the motif, try to do that. Don't immediately go to it. And that's what Stan was doing. If he had a story where he could play with the secret identity, he would. And sometimes they weren't that, like, it wasn't revolutionary, but early on they did do some interesting stuff. The idea of like the Jekyll and Hyde with the Hulk, when they see Bruce Banner with the shirt all messed up, they don't immediately think, hey, he must have changed into the monster. They had no vantage point to know that he was a monster. So they're like, hey, what are you doing here, Dr. Banner? And it's like, oh, I was just such and such, that sort of thing, where they decided to ultimately reveal his identity. But that was, I think, post Ditko. I think Ditko, they were sticking with his identity. And soon after Ditko was gone, they were like, Bruce Banner is the Hulk. But that worked for the character well up until, I guess like Peter David started to shift it into something else. So, it's one of those things where I think that the secret identity is something that they could do good things with. And this kind of just said, hey, this is going to be a hindrance. Let's just, he's going to show everybody, he's going to show Mysterio. In the times he with the Avengers early on, I think in the 200s and the 300s of the Avengers issues, he never pulled off his mask. He never let them know who he was. As soon as Bendis got on there, like, hey, I'm rich, taking off the mask, or Civil War, like when he's like, somehow Tony Stark became his father figure in Civil War. I'm taking off the mask for us and the team and this, that, and the other. Like, no, you don't have to take off your mask. He ain't done that in years. He didn't do that. Only closest person he did that for was what? Was Matt Murdock for Daredevil? Everyone else, he kept it under wraps.
What's your take, Cal?
Wow.
On what Petey just said? That's all 100% accurate.
No, I wasn't telling you on that on PD. What is this?
What's worse about the whole thing with the
writing notes to one another?
No, we don't have to. But what's worse about it is that it's so lazy. They just don't want to do the work. The secret identity is something that you can use to generate story ideas. It's another tool there, but it's not necessarily. It's more like a special tool at the end of the day. It's not like it's more your monkey wrench as opposed to your standard one. And these guys are like, well, if he's got a secret identity, how can he interact with these people and this, that? And they overthink it. It's just not the secret identity. It's not like Lois Lane trying to figure out Superman every episode, which sold for like 20 years. They got 20 years of mileage out of that thing. But the whole idea of it is like, no, there's supposed to be some actual consequences to this. And with a character like the Hulk, okay, if you know who the Hulk is, okay, it's usually not that big of a deal, because if you go after Bruce Banner, unless you're really, really careful, he's going to Hulk out and you're going to end up being sorry you came after him in the first place. But Spider-Man has friends. Spider-Man has his aunt. If you don't want to go after him, you can go after these people and really make his life miserable at the end of the day. And that's something that you can actually go after. Or what they did with Daredevil Born Again, where once the Kingpin found out his secret identity, Matt Murdock was given such a hard time, not because he was not as Daredevil with villains coming after him, but just his regular life of not being able to pay his bills and losing his home and not being able to practice law. All of that stuff at the end of the day. So there's some really good stuff you can go with it. The trouble with Daredevil was they would never put that back in the bottle. And so that became like the next story for the 25 years after that story came out, which is just crazy. But it's just laziness on their part at the end of the day. But what, you wanted me to touch on something else besides that?
I think you hit it. So, Petey, what do you think on the Daredevil cameo?
I only told Cal this. When I went to see it, I was trying to get to the city and I wasn't able to see the beginning stuff. So it's gonna have to be you guys talking about that. I didn't get to see that.
That was I almost.
Then you're not qualified to review this thing if you didn't see it then.
Okay.
Yeah, nice try.
Here we go.
Nice try. No,
it's what you do to one of your partners is just sell me out like that.
That part.
You did.
That scene right there was another part that was very rewarding. That part was another part. It was very rewarding because it finally connected that part of the Marvel universe that everybody was wondering about. Hey,
wait.
The Netflix stuff.
Your typical fan service. When it's fan service that you like, it's okay. But when it's fan service that you don't like, it's not okay. Am I misunderstanding?
No, that's not fan. No, that wasn't fan. No, that wasn't. See, you're misunderstanding fan service, but we don't have enough time in this show for me to educate you to it. So I'm going to let you go on that one. No, right over here, that was a big question. Everything that happened on Netflix, okay, was that actually a part of the Marvel universe? Because it was dropped at one point, and we all know the biggest show off of Netflix was Daredevil. So it became what? They're going to reboot? Are they going to do this? So that just answered the question. This wasn't just, okay, these series are great, now we're going to have Daredevil coming over. That whole portion, the street fighting part of the Marvel universe, that was just gone. Jeff Loeb left, or Feige took over. Well, what happens to all this stuff over here? Do these guys still exist? And yeah, we know at the very least Daredevil still exists. To be honest, we can keep Daredevil and we can pretty much get rid of everybody else and it would be just fine.
It's kind of funny because I do remember one of our past videos where you were like, it's dead, it's not coming back. And I was saying it was coming back. I just want to hear you say, you told me so.
Oh,
you want to hear what?
I want to hear you say, yeah, you were 100% right. You told me.
All right, yeah, you were 100% right. It came back.
See, there you go. You wanted something out of him, it didn't work out. You wanted him to eat crow, but he was honest. He said what it is. It's over. We did it. We did.
Look, I looked at the way these things go, and normally, everybody knows how this stuff goes Hollywood. If you have one guy who's in charge and that guy leaves, usually all the ideas that he has, that stuff goes on ice. You may never see that stuff again because the new guy's got his own thing that he wants to do. He's got his own ideas, and fair enough. You don't necessarily want to be weighed down with what this other guy was doing. Okay, so even if it was good and it was hitting, I got my own ideas. I want to get this running. So a lot of times you don't see that type of stuff.
That governing apology
right here
wasn't good enough. Clearly, I don't know what happened. It feels it make it laugh. But I'm going to continue.
All right.
I'll be the.
He owned up to it. He owned up. That's it.
There had to be more of a catharsis to it, not just like, okay, that's it. I'm missing.
You may have heard of his day. It was called Juneteenth. I'm free. Not doing it.
Oh my God.
So Petey,
all right, we gotta wrap this.
So hold on,
up.
we got a lot more. So Petey, what do you think about the Sorcerer Supreme Wong?
Not with it.
Sorcerer Supreme Wong is some straight. Can you? If I swear, are you gonna be able to edit this out of the video?
We do not swear. This is a family show. Okay.
Too lazy to do that.
All right, that's some straight malarkey because it doesn't make any sense. You're saying that Doctor Strange blipped. Doctor Strange blipped, and that's the reason why he got it. He got it by default. Okay, well, Doctor Strange is back. Why are you still Sorcerer Supreme? Are you saying that you are you are better at this than Doctor Strange, or it's just he's got it now, so I can't take it away from him? So I'm just gonna be walking around in my snowy sanctum with my fluffy cape.
But look, it's you can't look. We don't know necessarily if the ancient one was the best of all magicians.
No, you just pointed it out right there. The ancient one had Wong there all that time and never thought Wong should be it. So let's cut
She never thought that. She never thought that whatchamacallit would blip out. He blipped out. So now Wong is running the show. What's the problem, Brandon? So give me one reason that you think that he can't handle the job. He's not.
It's DCification of the characters.
Explain.
Here, let's just pass it off to this other guy. At least Jon Stewart was chosen. Guy Gardner, those guys were chosen. He's just a guy that's been in there. He could have studied those books the same way that wasn't Wong was like, no, he's been closed-minded. The whole point of the first Doctor Strange movie was that Doctor Strange was open-minded to how he was going to learn. So instead of making him because at some point in comic books they kind of said they try to keep a gray area of how old Doctor Strange actually is. But at the same time, what they did is that in this movie they said, hey, he spent all of this time using the time stone to learn more. And he used it not just for his own gain, just saying, hey, I want to learn more. This is what I did when I was becoming a surgeon, and I want to do extra. Wong did not do extra. He just wanted to guard the place. That's it.
Wong is the affirmative action hire.
What? Are you out of your frigging mind? Look, the world needs a Sorcerer Supreme. The Sorcerer Supreme is no longer there, so they had to get somebody else, right?
No, so it's Wong. What about what's his name? Baron Mordo. You could have got him back.
Yep, there you go.
But he is on a gray area.
He's not in a gray area. When we last left him, he was disillusioned and he disagreed with Doctor Strange, but he wasn't a villain.
He was in a gray area. He wasn't. So we can't necessarily give it to him.
Oh, yes, you can.
I see no problems with Wong assuming the role and taking it over, and I think it's a good thing. I did not like that they changed the trailer from the trailer where he's like, no, that's a dangerous spell, and in the thing, you'll do whatever you want to basically do. Leave me out of it. So
you're saying it's what's the name? What's that movie? Oh my goodness, the Woody Harrelson and Demi Moore. When they did the trick where she looks in the helicopter, she looks down and smiles like goodbye, Woody, and then in the movie she doesn't see him at all. She just in the helicopter going off. But in the trailer they made it worse that she was just kind of be like, "See you later, husband."
That's the one where she was getting that she was giving up for $1 million, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Indecent proposal.
Indecent proposal. Yeah, thank you. And that one, people in the audience are like, the people saw the trailer were like, "Oh my God, she just like looking at the husband and saying goodbye." And then in the movie, it just flies off. He makes the deal, he accepts it, and then next thing you know, they're just like, "Oh no, of course it's terrible." But anyway, we got to wrap this thing up, man. Come on.
So the implication is Wong. So the next big thing we need to touch base on is the fact of.
Oh wait! I saw what you just tried to do there. No. Wong is default, okay? And there's no reason for him to be there. Look, that is an affirmative action hire. That's the only reason why Wong is there. Because you had other people who are definitely, without a doubt, from what we saw in the first Doctor Strange movie, who should have been first in line for that. So either they turned it down, okay, but Wong should not be there.
Dude, he's not even the freaking Gerald Ford. He's not like the VP when you lose the president. He goes in there. He's just the guy the guy that guards the sanctorium. That's it. He's not the guy.
We bumped him up from being Doctor Strange's manservant to this. But then they're like, oh, well, it becomes the same nonsense with the whole virtue signaling. Oh, it's about time. It's time for Wong. No, Wong never showed that sort of potential in terms of the mystic arts. That was never his character at the end of the day. He was the guardian of the sanctum. Now, if Doctor Strange leaves, you still got to guard Doctor Strange is there for 5 years. You still got to guard the sanctum. And if he's not the one guarding the sanctum, then who is?
They haven't introduced enough characters for them to do. So the only possible person was him. Who in the MCU right now did they bring in? Exactly.
Do what they did in the movie, saying there's only two. We'll just cover these areas, and there's not enough action going on in this time. There wasn't.
And they could have just going. And we already see they got people with magical potential. They just could have got Baby Wong to go over there and guard the Sanctum Sanctorum.
Ugh.
You walked right into that one. You're spending too much time, and
you continued. We were finishing, and then you guys continue. So, what is your take on the three Spider-Mans? Did it work? Yes or no?
I mean,
The
come
Tom
on.
Ho-
The
the
more
Tom
characters
Holland
you put
movie?
in the movie, the more people. The thing is, I struggle with is that these are becoming just team up. Marvel, like they're doing Power Man and Iron Fist for everything. Marvel 2-in-1, Marvel team up, that sort of
No,
thing,
you
and
didn't.
they're losing the core thing. Now this is the third movie, and you do
That was good.
maximum
That was good.
characters, maximum villains, but I don't think going forward we gotta cool down with this. The next Spider-Man movie can't be Spider-Man and the new Black Widow type of deal. Like cool down. I get it. The third movie, you got three heroes, just like Batman and Robin, or Batman. Well, yeah, I guess Batman and Robin. We have Batman, Batgirl, and Robin. Like you do the sequel thing. The only thing is like this is just a lot better than Batman and Robin. It was a lot more fun than this. But the idea is this is a sequel. You're going to get your maximum amount of characters. Try to get the Avengers, Infinity War, end game type of the thing in there, and they maximize it doing the Crisis thing. Hey, this time we have three of the same characters in there, and it's fun. That's what it is. It's just sort of fun for the audience. But let's not do this. We already had Into the Spider-Verse. We had this. Let's not do. We need to do a trilogy of Spider-Man and Spider-Man type of.
Oh yes, we do. We need to do more. We need to do more. Bring it on, baby. Bring it on. Yeah, let's go. Let's bring it on.
Lord.
Right, Cal? Yes, Cal agrees. Okay, so another question.
Oh, I can't. The hard part is in you can't. Once you do a quiet movie where Spider-Man fights a Scorpion, they're like, what Marvel character is going to show up in this? Whereas with like we need Spider-Man to make a mistake so he can fix the problem of this thing, or like that. Like that's that point that Cal makes is what's killing these Marvel movies. The heroes have to make the initial thing, the mistakes.
What's killing the movie? This is the most successful movie ever in the middle of the pandemic.
They kill the movie, and then the Marvel heroes spend too much time fighting each other. They always have. But that whole, I mean, look, we got almost 10 minutes of the film is Spider-Man fighting Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Did you not enjoy it?
That's not the point. That's not the point.
Well, that's what I'm saying. When Cal said that Petey's not enjoying this, that's when he knew I wasn't enjoying.
I was saying Petey was enjoying it. And I was like, yo, Petey liked it.
Oh, so
when I saw when we saw what is it? When we saw when we saw smoothed out Electro, I was like, yeah, Petey's not enjoying.
Well, I didn't know it. It was funny when they did when Electro first showed up, and he was a being of energy. And I know they didn't have enough money to keep him like that through the entire movie. Like that was cool, even though like they threw out the hair. He's like, I ain't going through another movie with that bad hairstyle and those glasses. I'm just gonna be who I am. Like, yeah, nobody cares. We're just gonna move on, and he's gonna have a new hairline. He's gonna have a fake hairline like he has in real life, and not.
Thanks, babes.
And then they gave him the Bendis line. He was like, yeah, you live in Queens and you help poor people. I thought you were black.
Yeah. Oh God. Eesh. They probably.
Yeah, that line was like,
Thank you. Finally.
That one, yeah, you live in Queens. If you say you lived in Brooklyn or the Bronx, I'll say, yeah, then I can believe it. Queens, come on.
Yeah, white people that love and there's like we can't just immediately say these people when you when you live in the South
Queens
Bronx.
Ain't down, bro.
Peter Parker grew up in the South Bronx. It's got to be a black guy. He grew up in Bed-Stuy.
He could be Puerto Rican. He could be Puerto Rican.
If he was over here patrolling Flatbush and he wasn't West Indian, then yes, I would be surprised.
He wasn't from East Flat. We knew he was. So he's like he's trying to hide his Haitian descent and something like that. All right. We gotta get out of here, man. It's fun, but come on. How much more we gotta do? Because we can't do the end Doctor Strange scene. Because they screwed up doing the end scene just as a trailer. Like, you're supposed to do something different. All they did was give us a trailer of Doctor Strange.
Lazy. That's all that was.
What about the Venom end trailer, end credit?
Don't blame us. Waste of time. Don't blame us. Blame the pandemic. That's the best we can do right now. Sorry.
I wanted to see Venom get in there, but I don't want to see a new Venom show up in this. And then we have a whole new Megillah of Venom and Carnage in the Marvel Universe. No, I don't want to see none of that. They already did Venom. Have that Venom meet this Spider-Man. He saw they're watching TV. Go to where they're supposed to go. Like, no, we don't got the money to do all of that. That would be too much. But the fans would have went nuts. They would have went nuts. I would have went nuts. Because I went nuts in Venom too.
That's why they're waiting. They're like, nope, we got cards to play, but we're waiting.
Yeah. All right, guys. So anything else you guys want to add before we wrap this up? Other than it's a fine movie, we give it a A+ or 10 out of 10.
I thought you said you wanted to wrap this up. Why are you egging me on?
Who's egging anybody on? I just want to
10 out of 10.
synopsis so that people know
10
what
out
it
of
is.
10. 10 out of 10. Take the grade I gave and be happy with that.
So once again, everybody, thank you guys for being here and part of Spinner Rack. I hope you enjoyed what we did. Once again, there was another great Marvel film dominating during the pandemic. Black Widow, Shang-Chi, Venom, and once again, here we have Spider-Man killing it. So keep on watching. Subscribe.
I noticed you left out Eternals.
Ooh, that hurts.
And of course, I must
and he didn't even
the Eternals.
Oh, about to say he's not even correct that
Spinner Rack
out
Eternally.